In this lesson, I will explain to you the concept of project management fundamentals. So it says that PMBOK 8 references 7 revised domains, and in the PMP exam you will see the questions will come from these 7 domains. The first is governance, then is scope, schedule, finance. We used to say it was cost before, stakeholders, communication. These are together now, resources and risk. Throughout this course we will discuss all these revised domains, and I will also explain to you the concept of these domains with the help of example or questions. So easy way to remember, I have just mentioned GSSS RRF. G is for governance, then is scope, schedule, stakeholders, resources, risk and finance. Although these are not in sequence, but easy way to remember all these 7 domains. So this is the one of the most important page of the PMB book. So there are 5 focus area. First is the initiation group, then planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, closing. These 5 are known as the focus areas. Before we used to say these are the process groups. So if you will listen this word process groups and focus area, so both are same. These are the performance domain which I just discussed. Governance, first is the governance. In governance we have 9 processes. If you will see horizontally and count, these are 9. First is the initiate project. When we initiate any project, the first thing is we have to make the charter. What is charter? We will talk about charter in detail in this course as well. This is the first process, and then is the integrate and align, and then align project, and the plan sourcing strategy, and then in executing we have manage project execution, manage quality assurance and so on. The last process is close project or the phase. So if you will count, these are 9. Similarly, in scope we do not have any process in the initiating group. We have some processes here in the planning, and then we have in monitoring and controlling. So there are 6 process in under which comes under scope domain, and then schedule 3, finance we have 4 and so on. If you will count all these processes, so total they are 40 processes. Right, so one by one we will discuss in this course, but keep in mind when you will run any project, you do not have to go horizontally, you have to move vertically. First you have to make the charter. When the charter is approved by the sponsor, then you have to identify all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Anyone who is related to your project, your vendor, your manager, your team, your sponsor. So we will discuss in detail stakeholders, because many questions will come in your exam related to stakeholders and communication. So I hope this is clear, and this is just the comparison before July 9 2026. These were same focus area: initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling and closing, but we used to say these are the process groups. And here now we say these are the performance domain, but we used to say these are the knowledge areas. So there are 10 knowledge areas, and total if you will count, there were 49 processes, but currently we have 40 processes. This is just the comparison. You do not have to memorize, because this is the old version. The new sheet, every time when you will watch any videos, so it should be in front of you. In this way you will learn more. So what we do in 7 performance domain. First one is the governance. Here just I have written the main points, but one by one we will discuss in detail. Governance system that ensures integrity, transparency, because everywhere now you have heard this word transparency, so there should be transparency in the project, and strategic alignment in decision making. What you will learn in a scope, we will learn how to define the scope, how to validate and controlling the project's deliverable and requirements. Is in a schedule, planning, monitoring and controlling the time related activities. Definitely, suppose if you want to make a building, so definitely there are different floors, and in each floor we need plumbing work, electricity work. So here we have to find out, making the schedule related to time, how much time you have to spend on plumbing, electricity, and so on. Finance, which we used to say cost, managing budget, cost forecast, benefit analysis, we will learn. Stakeholder and communication, these two are together. Strategically engaging groups that influence or are impacted by the project. So engaging the stakeholder is one of the most important thing in projects. Resources means human resources and physical resources. We have, sometime we have to hire vendors, sometime we have to hire team from outside, so we have to use the procurement, which we will learn here, and the material technological assets. Risk is one of the most important topic of the PMP, so we will learn both threats and opportunity. Normally people consider that there is only the negative risk, but we will also learn that there are positive risks as well. So these are the performance domain. Now is the focus area, what we do in the initiating group. Whenever you will start any project, so first thing, keep in mind, you have to make the charter, and the sponsor will approve your charter because he will provide you the funding. Developing the project charter, when the charter is approved, the second is identifying the stakeholders. So in initiating group, keep in mind there are only two processes. One is the charter, and the second is when the charter is approved, then we have to identify the stakeholders. In planning, what we do, establishing project scope, schedule, budget, quality, requirement, risk, and so on, creating the project management plan. So when the plan is ready, again it should be signed by the appropriate manager, or we will also discuss in detail the planning. In executing, performing the work defined in the project plan. Whatever plan we have made, in execution we will start, manage teams, communication, and so on. Monitoring and controlling. In monitoring and controlling, normally what we do, we compare this, because in execution this is our actual work, in planning this is the plan, so we make the comparison between the actual and the plan work. If there is some variance, then we have to find out the root cause, why is the variance, and we have to take the corrective action. So we will do all this in monitoring and controlling. When everything is okay, then we have to close the project. In closing, finalizing all project activities, obtaining acceptance, closing contracts, and documenting lesson learned. Again, this is the brief introduction, but we will cover each and every topic in detail in this course. So again, I have written this initiating. So what I told you, that we make the project in initiating group, and when the charter, sorry, new we make the charter. When the charter is ready, we have to identify the stakeholders. So for each process, you will see there will be some inputs, then we have to use tools and techniques, and there will be output. So in order to make the charter, these are the inputs. First, I will explain to you what is the meaning of input, tools and techniques, and output. Then I will go to this page as well. So ITTO means input, tools and techniques, and then output. Suppose if someone will ask you that could you please make the website for us. So in order to make the website, what you need first you will ask, okay, what design you are looking for. Then we also need content, domain name, color. So these are the input in order to make the website. Then when the input is ready, then maybe we will hire expert, we will also get the expert judgment how to make the website, or we will decide, should we use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, web hosting, prototype. These are the tools and technique in order to make the website. When we will use these tool and technique, our output will be website. So exactly the same thing, same the concept of same ITTOs will apply in order to find out the output of each and every process. So output is project charter in order, or assumption log. In order to make the project charter and assumption log, our input will be business document. And business document is divided into two parts. One is known as the business case, and second is the benefits management plan. These we will discuss in next lesson. What are the agreements, we will also discuss later on, but in this lesson we will discuss enterprise environmental factors and OPA. It is known as enterprise environmental factor and OPA. Why we are discussing these two in this lesson? Because as I told you that there are 40 processes, and you can say that enterprise environmental factors or OPA, these two are the inputs of almost all the processes. We cannot say that business case, agreement, benefit management plan, these are the input for all the processes, but these two are very important. And you will see at least there are 2 to 3 questions in your PMP exam related to enterprise environmental factor and OPA. And then when these are the inputs, what are the tools and techniques in order to make the charter? The first is expert judgment, data gathering, brainstorming, focus group, interview. All this we will also discuss in this course. So here I have written very briefly about the enterprise environmental factor. So enterprise environmental factors could be internal or external to the organization. Now actually, what is the simple definition of enterprise environmental factor? Simply you can say the things which are cannot be controlled by the manager or the team. Simple, right? So internal, just like suppose if you are working in any project that is multinational project, so currency fluctuation, you can see sometime the currency fluctuation will be like this. So it is, we cannot control, the manager cannot control or the team cannot control the currency fluctuations. So this is the enterprise environmental factor. Similarly, the political environment, environmental condition, if you are working on the project, suddenly the natural disaster came, that is under, this is not the control of the manager, it means that this is the enterprise environmental factor. Just go through these government regulations, industry standards, market condition, because sometimes you will see in the A B C D option they will write down government regulation, and the question will be which one is the enterprise environmental factor. So if you know government regulations, so you have to select that one. So just try to memorize these. And these are the internal organizational culture. What is the culture of the organization? Existing IT infrastructure, available resources and skill sets. So these are not under the control of manager or team. So here I have written your company requires all projects to follow a specific change control. This is the rule, or you can say regulations of the company, that each and everyone have to follow the change control process, though manager cannot change this policy. So this is the enterprise environmental factor. Another example, a construction project must comply with new government safety and regulation. These regulations influence the project but are outside the project control, making them an enterprise environmental factor. So I hope this is clear to you, that anything which manager cannot cannot control, it means it is the enterprise environmental factor. Now we will talk about the OPA, organizational process asset. These are the plans. So here I will explain to you organizational process asset simply. Is this is divided into two parts. Here we can say these are the policies, processes, procedure, template, and the second one is known as the knowledge base. If suppose you are working on the project and you want some template, suppose you are new in the organization, you want to make a charter, so you can get this charter from the OPA, the template of the charter, not exactly the charter, the template of the charter. Here I have written templates and form, quality, what are the quality policies, risk management guidelines, change control procedure, project management. Suppose if the stakeholder asks you to change something or add some feature, you do not know what is the change control procedure, so you can go to the OPA and they will provide to you. And this is the important thing, knowledge base. What we have to keep here, lesson learned from the previous project. Whatever lesson you have learned, it will go in the knowledge base. Name indicates knowledge base. Historical project data, issue and defect databases, financial records, project files and documentation, social media, and presentations, all you have to keep in the knowledge base. So I hope that this is clear. Together, process, policies, procedure, templates, plus organizational knowledge bases is known as OPA. I hope the difference is clear between the OPA and the enterprise environmental factor. Here I have written a very simple example. Imagine you are managing a software development project. Your company has a standard project charter template. It is the part of OPA. Risk register template, OPA. Lesson learned repository from past software projects. Again, it is the OPA, a change request form. All of these are OPAs because they are organizational assets that help you plan and execute the project. Remember the distinction between the OPA and EEF: internal organizational knowledge, processes, template, and historical data. Enterprise environmental factors, conditions that influence the project, such as company's culture, government regulation, market condition. This is company's culture is the internal enterprise environmental factor. As I told you, that these are internal or external, while the regulation, market condition, organization structure, but outside the control of team manager, right? Now, important thing, because this question will also come in your PP exam, the terms lesson learn register and the lesson learn repository. They are related, but they serve different purposes in the project and organizational knowledge management. What is lesson learn? Lesson learn register is a project level document. See, the focus is project. Suppose you are working on the ABC project, whatever you have learned throughout the project you will write down in the lesson learned register, but at the closing, when you are closing this ABC project, whatever you have learned, it will transfer to the lesson learned repository, and lesson learned repository is the part of OPA. If the question comes that the team wants to learn something of the previous project, so in the OPA, where they should go for the lesson learned repository, not the lesson learned register, right? So is a project level document used to record lesson as they are identified during the project. OPA, lesson learned repository, an organizational wide knowledge base that stores lesson from multiple projects for future reuse. Relationship, what is the relationship between these two? During a project, lesson are captured in the lesson learned, right? In a particular project where you are working, whatever lesson you are learning, you have to write down in lesson learned. At the end, it will transfer to the repository at appropriate points. Often project closure, validated lessons are transferred to the lesson learned repo. Future projects consult the repository during planning and execution. In short, the register is where lessons are captured, repository where lessons are stored and shared for the organization learning. At the end, this picture is again there. In order to make the charter, these are the inputs. So we have discussed enterprise environmental factors in detail, organizational process as well also in detail. In the next lesson, I will explain to you what is the meaning of business case, benefit management plan. Then we will discuss agreements, and these are the tools and techniques. I hope the concept is clear. If you do have any question, please ask me. Subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the next video.